Welcome to the Happy Rebel podcast, where we explore the realms of finding your calling, living your values, and doing the work of self-healing. Through candid conversations with fellow seekers, we'll uncover ideas and concepts that challenge, expand, and empower us to embrace our authentic selves and live with intention. Hi there, I'm Kelly Street, owner of Happy Rebel and your guide on this journey. I'm known for my insatiable curiosity and tendency for pushing boundaries. I've always been a challenger, eager to question the status quo and explore the uncharted territories of personal growth. So join me as we navigate the twists and turns of life's journey, seeking out the wisdom and insights that illuminate our path towards fulfillment and rebellion against the ordinary. Before we get started, I want to remind you to connect with me on Instagram at Happy Rebel, where you can ask questions and share your thoughts. Remember, you are never alone on your path to becoming a happy rebel. This is the Happy Rebel Podcast. As we begin this episode, I invite you to take a moment to pause and connect with yourself. Gently soften your gaze or close your eyes and take a deep breath in. On the exhale, feel the tension releasing from your body, allowing yourself to settle into this space. With each exhale, imagine drawing in the crisp, cool air of fall, a reminder that nature is shifting, preparing for rest. With each exhale, let go of anything that feels heavy or no longer serves you, just as the trees release their own leaves. Take one more deep breath, and as you let it go, allow yourself to be present, open to the wisdom of endings. Well, here we are, back as a solo episode of the pod again. I don't know how I feel about saying the word pod. That feels a little to me. If any of you are watching the most current season of Love is Blind DC, they talk about the ick, and shortening words like that, like saying the pod, kind of give me the ick a little bit. So anyway, just random. That is definitely my guilty pleasure, is Love is Blind. I kind of hate it, and yet I also just desperately want every single person on the show to find love and be in love and actually do the show for the right reasons instead of for celebrity. But that's an aside. Let's get back to the topic at hand. This podcast is all about the significance of fall and letting things come to an end. As we look around during this season, we see the flowers dying off. We see the trees letting go of all of their leaves. We just really kind of see and have this sense of things retreating. And the idea of endings has just really been on my mind, both for a lot of things personally, but then also just this is the season. And the thing that keeps coming to my mind is that Lana Del Rey song that is super popular on Instagram or on TikTok, wherever, this time of year, Season of the Witch. And it really does feel like that time where there's the mysteriousness of what we're releasing and what we're allowing to come in. So I just wanted to start by talking a little bit about the kind of historical pagan significance of the fall and how the idea of endings really comes into this. So, of course, fall is the time of the harvest, the time when the earth is preparing to rest and release. It's letting go of no longer putting energy out into the things that it was growing for us all summer and spring. It's now done with the growing. It's ready to release them. And so we harvest, we gather, we build up our stores of energy and food and everything that we need to be able to stay in and withdraw and hold in the winter. And so, of course, as the earth is letting go of what it no longer needs, that's a time where I think to myself, what is it that I no longer need, or what am I trying to let go of? And so I just really invite you, as you listen in and as you think about all this, that maybe reflecting about this natural reminder that we have in the world and in the cycle right now, that endings are necessary, endings are natural, and endings can even be sacred and something that we can hold really dearly and treat with a lot of respect and honoring them. So just thinking about embracing endings as part of the cycle of life, and how, you know, in the spring we're planting, we're growing, things are coming to life, we're feeling energy and aliveness. In the summer there's heat, there's power, there's magnification, and then in the fall things fall away. And this lovely reminder that nothing is permanent, nothing has to be permanent, but also that freedom of nothing is. And so the beauty of life and renewal and letting things go. So realizing, you know, all of those old sayings that we have around endings, like every ending is a new beginning. With every closed door, there's a new one that opens. You know, kind of all of those cheesy things that we say when we're trying to get comfortable with the idea of something ending. But I would like to just urge us to maybe sit with the ending before we move on to the what is next. And in the sitting with the ending, sometimes you're sitting with the possibility of something ending or something being over for a really long time before it actually does end. I mean, obviously, one of the things that comes to mind for a lot of people in ending is a relationship or a marriage ending. And even though I have been through that, you know, I've been through a divorce and the ending of a relationship. I'm luckily currently not now, and am in a very happy, not relationship ending place. But there are lots of other things and areas in our lives where things can come to a place where we know we need to make a move. We know we need to make a change or to allow something to fall away, to die away. And we hold, we grasp, we do everything we can. We fight so hard until we get to the point where we maybe look up and look around and go, wow, why am I fighting so hard for this? Whether it's a career, maybe it is a relationship, maybe it's moving, anything like that. I mean, it could really be in any area of your life where there's something that you're grasping onto that's actually causing you more pain in the holding than it would be in the releasing. So, personally, for me, there are a couple of areas that I just wanted to note where I am realizing that the end is near, and have been in the process of wondering what it could be like to come to an end or a conclusion for a long time. So, the first is, as I have kind of talked about before, my IVF fertility journey. And for that has been about an 8-year long process. Not 8 years continually. There was a, 5-ish year break in there. But really, over the last 8, almost 9 years, this idea, energy put into having a biological child with my husband. And I am coming to this place where I'm realizing that this next cycle that we go into, this next section of that fertility journey, is probably going to be our end. I say probably because I hate being concrete or cement about things that are so emotional and so personal and such a big life thing. But in the last few months, I have realized it's been this slow conclusion that has been building, where I'm realizing that the pain of holding on to the question of, will this ever happen? How long is it going to take? How much money are we going to spend? How difficult this is. The pain of holding on to that question is more painful to me at this point than, well, I can't say then the idea of not having a child. I just have to be honest. And right in this moment, that's so incredibly painful. I really, I desperately want to have a biological child, and it will be painful to let it go. But I know that for me, it will be the time to let it go, that it will be okay, that I will be ready. And the things that I've gotten to are realizing that it no longer feels like a failure. It more so feels like an evolution, or really an acceptance of my family as it is. My husband, our daughter from his previous marriage, and myself, and whatever pets we have, or our chickens, like that is our family that lives in our home, and it is perfect and it is beautiful, and that it will be okay if there isn't something added outside of that. And letting this go, feeling finally, after all of these years, getting to this place where I'm feeling this sense of peace instead of the aggravation, the anxiety, the fear, all of that tension, that this like grinding inside of me. The possibility of being able to let that go and move on and accept feels both incredibly painful and also incredibly liberating. And again, to go back to that metaphor of just like the trees shed their leaves, we too must sometimes let go of the things that no longer serve us, so that we can move forward with clarity and with space to allow for something new or different to come in. So there we go. That is one of the endings that I am processing. Another ending that's maybe a little bit more joyful or happier for me is an ending with my book. So I'm kind of reaching a natural progression where the manuscript that I have had for the last 3 years has gone through iterations and changes, and now is really kind of in the final stages for what I can and want to do with it at this moment. And again, just like with the IVF stuff, there's been this kind of grinding, angst about what it would mean to let that go and put it out into the world, and how truly terrifying sharing your creative pursuits with the world can be, and all of the mistakes and the fears and the imperfections that need to be reconciled and overcome. But there's also a bittersweet feeling that comes with reaching the end of a long, intimate, creative process. There's excitement, but it's an ending. So releasing this book into the world is letting go of a lot of those fears and concerns that I have for and about myself as a creative person. But one of the things about this ending and why it's kind of been grinding away for a while is, if it does take a long time it can take a long time to write a book, but really the editing process that I've been in has been taking a long time. But one of the things that I've been really grinding against, or grinding with, is the idea of self-publishing. And of course, it's every creative's dream to have someone swoop in and say, wow, this is beautiful work that you've created, and I'm going to put money to it and make sure that the world sees this and knows how important this is. And then when that doesn't happen, there's sort of this crisis of confidence and wondering whether you're even worthy of putting something out if someone else isn't validating that. And so that's what happened to me. And so I sat and reconciled what it was for me that was coming up that was getting in the way of potentially self-publishing. And I worked through that. It wasn't what I originally envisioned. It wasn't what my heart's great longing is. But this is my first book of hopefully future many. And maybe self-publishing is the path for me. It would allow me to have greater control, and that feels important in some ways. And so I'm learning as I go to hold on to expectations and rigid plans sometimes can be more painful than it would be to release that rigidity and allow for change, allow surrender to happen, rather than clinging to what I wanted or what my own personal judgments or expectations on myself could be. And so we'll see. I'm in early stages talks with a publisher, but that might not work out, might not be something that appeals to me or appeals to them in the long run. But coming to a conclusion, being ready to release and let go of my book that I've been working on and share it with all of you. The third area that I'm really in my life reconciling this idea of releasing and letting things come to an end is with friendships, and recognizing that sometimes a relationship has a natural ending. And I've really just noticed over the past 5 years in particular that there were some friendships that I was hanging on to or trying to reconcile or trying to keep in my life that were causing more pain and discomfort than they were fulfilling or giving. And it's not a reflection on that person. I hope it's not a reflection on me. It really feels to me more that there's this reflection. What it means is that there just simply isn't alignment anymore. They're no longer shared interest. Our lives are different or in different enough places. Or maybe it was that that person came into my life for a particular period of time. And that was such a blessing and a gift and an honor to have that person or those people in my life for that period of time, and that that period of time is concluded, and that that's okay. And so all of the forcing connection that has been happening, as it's just the effort hasn't been put in as much, it's felt safe and soft and easy to just wish people well from afar and to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for everything I learned, received, and gave to you in our time as friends, but not needing to have some like formal breakup or some formal, this is the end. It's just our ties are naturally loosening and we can allow that to let go. And sometimes with endings, well, I'll say sometimes, pretty much always for me with endings, there are a lot of fears and anxieties that come up. In particular, I have some kind of like friendship, relationship, negative loops in my head, criticisms that I have of myself, thinking that, what if I'm not a good friend? I have a really hard time remembering dates for things. And I so admire people who are really good at remembering dates. I'm not so good at that. My sister-in-law, amazing. She's phenomenal. Love you, Shannon. You remember dates and special moments and get little gifts. And it is just such a beautiful thing that she does. And that is not mine. One of the things that I have learned that I am good at, that I will speak to now as I'm talking about my fears and anxieties with friendship, is that I am good at speaking to people about the gifts that I appreciate in them, or the gifts that I see that they offer in the world, and really speaking, language, and putting, words of affirmation as a love language. Like, that's something I really love to give to people from my heart in that way. So anyway, got off track. I've been a little off track. I'm coming back to it, people. Letting go without fear. And so when we think about letting go, of course, there's fear that comes up. But if we can ask ourselves a few questions when we're fearing the unknown of letting go, of what could be on the other side of ending, just ask yourself maybe one of these couple of questions. What will happen if I stop doing this? What will happen if I release this, enter word here, and let it go? What will happen if I let this thing go? This idea, this job, this person, this pattern, this habit in my life? What will happen? And then when you can sit with that discomfort rather than fighting it, you can start to feel space come in and room to be around what that idea of ending, of releasing could be. And especially in the context of friendship, just reminding myself, reminding yourself that when we let something go, or when we let someone go, we're not abandoning them. We're allowing their lives and our lives to continue on their course, to let them, ourselves, an idea, a job, to let that thing be free. There is that adage about, if you love someone, let them go and see if they come back. And that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is not the expectation that, they will come back, or that this thing will come back. What I am speaking for is coming to a place of peace with what comes up for you when something ends, when you let something go. And when you let something go, you make space for the new, or you make space simply to allow for rest. A couple of episodes ago, talking about taking a break and needing rest, there's this theme coming up for me of making space, and that is really interesting. I don't quite yet know where it will go, but I'm really curious to see where the idea of making space will go. But sometimes that space that you make when you let something go does allow something new to enter into your life. But at other times, creating that space is really just about allowing emptiness and allowing yourself to rest in more space. Just like the earth rests during the winter. There isn't as much to do. The temperatures are cooler. Things are softer. We want coziness. We want to be in and cocooned. That's what we're doing in the fall. That's what we do with the idea of releasing and letting go. And endings are not always about loss. Sometimes they're about transformation or evolution. When we stop clinging to what's no longer serving us, we can open up to new possibilities, even if we don't know what those new possibilities are yet. So, in reflecting, I just encourage you to think about what endings might be calling to you right now. Are there things that need to come to a conclusion or to an end? And you've either been pushing that aside and telling yourself you don't want it to end or don't need it to end, but maybe this is a time to reflect on whether it could be ready to be released. I just encourage you to trust the process of letting go. Know that nature and history and our own experiences teach us all that endings are not final. Endings are simply a transition into something else. So in conclusion, I just want to end with another little meditation to sit with a theme of letting go and finding peace in endings. I invite you to take a moment of stillness. Close your eyes or gently let them rest and take a deep breath in, feeling the calm of this moment. As you exhale, imagine releasing anything you've been holding on to that is ready to be let go. Breathing in and out, with each breath, remind yourself that endings, though often difficult, create space for rest, for reflection, and for something new. Continuing to breathe, exhaling to release, feeling a sense of peace, trusting that whatever is ending in your life is part of a greater cycle. When you're ready, come back to the moment, gently open your eyes, carrying this sense of acceptance with you as you move forward. Thank you. Good luck with your endings. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you for being part of the Happy Rebel podcast community. Stay connected with us on Instagram at Happy Rebel. If you've enjoyed our episodes, please consider rating, liking, and reviewing the podcast. It truly does help us grow. Until next time, this is Kelly Street. Remember, embrace the dark and the light.